US President Donald Trump has asked US technology companies not to hire from outside. He wants them to scout for talent from within the country. Significantly, Mr. Trump gave this unsolicited advice at a meeting which is related to artificial intelligence. Why I said so? This is because many people thinks that people come to US to find jobs, to gain money, to gain knowledge, everything. But that's not completely right. People from abroad come to the US or immigrants to the United States, not just scout for jobs. They invest in the US also. You know, the the biggest investor or the richest man on this globe, Elon Musk, was an immigrant. He came from South Africa to the United States, and the artificial intelligence company OpenAI is owned by him. So here, Trump's statement at a meeting of related to AI becomes ironic. That I will explain why I said so in detail in the coming part. Now, I think there is a sense of insecurity among the white US people that Indians are flocking to the US in large numbers because Trump particularly asked IT companies not to scout for talents from India. So I feel that there is some sort of insecurity in the US that all the top positions, all the CEOs of major companies are from India. Particularly, you look at that the major companies like this Microsoft, Google, or even Elon Musk recently appointed an Indian as the CEO of his company. So this is something perhaps worrying the white man. His supremacy, he is afraid, insecure that his supremacy couldn't last long. He needs to remember that the white people are not natives of the US. Where are the natives of US? What happened to native Americans? That's another question which Trump doesn't want to answer. So this is the situation. Ultimately, does Trump think that without immigrant workers, US economy is going to grow? I don't think so. I'm sure that after a certain stage this is going to backfire. Trump speaks about the freedom given by the US and he thinks that that is why the whole world survives. Absolute gibberish. It is actually the otherwise. Earlier, the West exploited other countries through colonization. Now they do that in a sophisticated way. So that's the only difference. Let's get to the heart of the whole issue. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. As I said, it was ironic that Trump chose the venue of a meeting related to AI to announce his American only policy. He wants the US major companies of tech companies to recruit from within the country. Here, why I said it was ironic? Because if you look at the major AI companies in the US, a majority of them are owned by people from outside the US, that is immigrants. So actually immigrants have given jobs to the US citizens, the white men. If you look at the major from the country from where the largest number of investors in AI in the US are from, it is India. That is, India is followed by China. Then comes France. Almost 60% of the AI companies in the US are either owned by immigrants or they have, immigrants on their board who are majority stakeholders. So now you realize immigrants come to US not to mine gold from the US. They actually give jobs to US citizens. In fact, media reports say Indian investors have created more than 200,000 job opportunities in the US. I'm sure that Indians are working in the US in large numbers. They gain they earn a huge money, but at the same time they pay taxes also. You know, more than that, not all Indians are employees. There are many employers too. Trump needs to remember that. Then Trump also needs to, realize that the US companies grew manifold because they outsourced their manufacturing to countries outside the US. And that was how they earned huge profits. And that has benefited the United States. So matters are not as simple as Mr. Trump thinks. People doesn't come to the US to exploit the US. They actually contribute to the growth of the US. If US companies outsource their work to countries like China, India, Vietnam, and elsewhere, that is because they want to make profit. They actually exploit workers in India, China, Latin America, and even poorer countries in the Europe. So this is the situation, not otherwise. Trump wants to create his own narrative. Trump thinks that the whole world is exploiting the magnanimity of the US. Absolute gibberish. This is, he is dumping lots of moose manure. This is wrong. Actually, the US is benefiting, US grew, piggybacking on the shoulders of third world countries, piggybacking on the cheap labor provided by workers of India and China. That is why, he doesn't want India and China to take any advantage of this. This is, if you do work, you will get wages. Trump doesn't want to give money as wages to Indian workers or Chinese workers. I'm sure that once the US companies stop all outsourcing, their profit margins are going to tumble. It is going to fall steeply. It will take a nosedive. Why? Because the white man demands huge salary. They will have to provide 3 to 5 times salary they provide to an average Indian worker or a Chinese worker or a Vietnamese worker or a Latin American worker. So the profits are going to take a big hit. I'm sure Trump will realize his foolishness only after the catastrophe happens. This is another important thing. So I mean that Trump wants to create a narrative of the third world countries or developing countries, the South exploiting the North, while things are not as simple as that. So this is the reality. Now, you see, if the US companies stop outsourcing from India, then US companies stop allowing people from other countries to immigrate to US. How will be the situation of the US? Profits will fall. Companies will find it very difficult to undertake research and development because they don't have money with them. And by that time, private sector in India and China are going to private sector in India and China is going to grow by leaps and bounds. Already, India and China manufacturing industry in India has started to develop. Then, what about the population? US population is sustained by immigrants. If the US stops giving visas, if US stops giving citizenship to immigrants, then I am sure that within 20 years the US population is going to fall. And there will be too many old people there. They will find it very difficult to get youngsters, talented people. Why talented people from all parts of the world flock to US? Because there is freedom. Of course, that I agree. There is freedom, there is money, there is research and development. But it's something like a symbiotic relationship. Both benefits out of it. Immigrants gain money the US makes wealth. And there is a saying, if you look at the, certain sectors in US like healthcare or space industry, you would find a large number of Indians. It is very difficult for an average white man to go to a hospital in the US and not get treated by a brown Indian. So actually he is getting benefit out of the expertise of Indian doctors, Indian scientists, Indian space scientists, Indian technicians. So what I want to convey the message that both are benefiting. It's a win-win situation. If the US withdraws itself from the global mindset, if the US creates a generation which is insular, I am sure the US civilization will take a big hit. And Trump is going to be, the, the man who will bring about it. He is going to be the scourge of the US if he continues like that. When Mr. Donald Trump became the president of the US, I thought he is going to act differently. The real capitalism will flourish in the US. US will grow, but this type of narrow-minded jingoism, then xenophobia, all I am sure all those will lead US to backwardness. Within 2 decades, if Trump is allowed to become the US president once again, if he is able to amend the US Constitution, I'm sure that the US is going to go back to 19th or 18th century. He will sow the seeds of that change. Let's see how the intelligentsia, how the corporates of America are going to take his advice. Meet you with updates. Till then, goodbye.